Welcome to Beyond the Review, customer conversations about digital transformation success, presented by Raven Intelligence. I'm your host and the founder and CEO of Raven Intel, Bonnie Tinder. I am delighted to be joined today by Kathy Kruse, Senior Vice President at Sability. Sability is the industry's premier UKG partner and a leading HR and workforce management advisory consulting firm in North America. For close to 3 decades, they have helped companies navigate and modernize the HR and workforce management function within their organizations, from strategy to planning to implementation and managed services. Kathy, welcome. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Absolutely. So HCM has been, human capital management's been near and dear for probably almost 2 decades for me now. Just starting my own experience was into small market payroll and evolving up market. And several years in, I jumped into a vendor to more of that client-side consulting role. And it just gave me a very new lens to work side by side with clients, where it's more about understanding, internal needs and requirements and that, and helping make the right selection and the planning that goes with it. Knowing quite a bit of the vendor landscape was so interesting for me to see that while on paper and brochures, they all kind of sound like they offer the same things. A lot of it comes down to who you want to partner with and how they service and all those great things. So while I am UKG exclusive kind of focused today with Sability, I did start to go down a track with Ultimate, and then had the opportunity to work back direct with software in an enterprise sales capacity. So it's just been awesome to kind of see all different angles in the industry, and then land back in this space with Sability, where we can take strategic consulting, kind of marrying it up with the technology piece.
I love it. So you certainly have walked a mile in the shoes of customers as well as consultants, which is so important to have that background. What made you join Sability? What about the organization was attractive to you?
Well, I guess when I met them probably 10 years ago, they were couple dozen consultants in size and working with a number of vendors, and they were just good people to run into at conferences. They were friendly. They always had a good reputation. Over the last decade, as I kind of sat in different roles, I just kept hearing about them, and then had the opportunity to reach out when I was selling enterprise software deals and experience their truly white glove, like knowing that I could sell a large, precious new client and know they were going to be taken care of, meant the world to me. So it just kind of pulled me back in with the opportunity to come into Sability and be back on the services side.
Yeah, and I would agree. We at Raven Intel have, 80 plus reviews at this point from customers who have truly been delighted with that white glove experience and the culture and the care that I think Sability provides. We've seen high satisfaction, we've seen high delivery rates as well in terms of value, on time, on budget, some of those markers of success. I'm curious, from your perspective, what is it about the organization that is, allows you to consistently achieve those type of results? What is it about your hiring, your process that you think is behind those scores?
So I think where Raven puts it out there that we're focused on white glove, it is the reputation of the firm. So knowing that clients have all sorts of options on what type of partner they want, we are the one that's looking, if they're looking for someone to go side by side and take them through every step, and like what's coming next, and eyes wide open. And if it were our company, how would we handle it? I do think that that is the lens that all of our consultants at Sability kind of carry. We are definitely more senior, tenured experience. We have tons of practitioners and just long runs of consulting that allow us to attack the project that way versus get in, get out.
Mhm. Mhm. And in terms of the role of a strategic partnership like you have between Stability and UKG, you're an exclusive provider, which I think sets you apart in terms of unique, and a unique perspective there. What are some of the other things that you think are just unique markers about the solution that you provide?
Yeah, I think it's hard to imagine anymore like working with beyond UKG because we're UKG exclusive. So while I can tell you, oh, it's a narrow focus, it's not so narrow because there's so much that's offered across the whole WFM landscape, going beyond clocking in and clocking out to full data analytics and everything you need to manage and forecast, and then moving into the whole HCM employee life cycle around the core system and the talent. There's just a lot there. So our team can kind of wrap around, look holistically. We support every product in terms of implementing and post live support. I think what rounds us out well, Bonnie, is because we pay attention to where a client is in the journey. We have clients that are totally green, have never used UKG, but they selected it. They don't know what's coming and they want to shepherd through that process with someone who does. Or we get people who are 10 years on the solution and admit we had total team turnover. We haven't kept up with releases and just how do we better use it? So we kind of craft all of our delivery based on where are they in the journey? Who are we working with? What do
Hmm.
they need from us?
Yeah. So UKG being a broad set of solutions, while you're singularly focused on the UKG product suite, that certainly is a broad set of solutions that customers are needing. Yeah.
And a lot of clients will come to us and they start one specific spot. I think what's becoming more and more attractive to clients, like locking in with a trusted partner, is we can spider web in any direction in terms of product,
Mhm.
but even helping supplement their teams. You know, we just recently brought on a client where it was a payroll emergency, someone stepped out, they needed augmentation. Well, the whole payroll team, I almost couldn't believe it. There's maternity leave, there's jury duty, there's resignation, like all at the same time. We're able to step in and keep them going, not just processing payroll, but it's, hey, by the way, while you're in there, tell us how to better optimize our payroll process because you probably know better balance and checkpoints.
Yep. Yep. I mean, as much as these projects are all about software and process, they're about people also. And so, that people side of the equation without people or having turnover, certainly these projects don't go. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
hear you. What are some of your favorite customer success stories? Tell us about some of the maybe some of the specific situations that you've been involved with where you've seen some results delivered by Sability and UKG.
There's so many. I'll try to narrow in on a few. I think ones that are multifaceted in terms of the services that they can leverage from us and being able to give them a singular experience with one partner. So we had a group and we work about mid-market up to very large enterprise. This company had been around for 20, 30 years, lawn care service, multi-state, but pretty local, few hundred employees. Along comes private equity to invest in them. Well, with that investment came an expectation of growth. So they went from 300 to 600 to 900 employees. That changes every dynamic around onboarding, around payroll, around culture, like all of it. And so it got to the point where they said, what worked yesterday isn't working today. Do we hire a payroll person? Or is it time to lean on someone else who's going to know all the states we're growing into and help? So they did a full evaluation of what made sense. So not only did we land them in so much of a managed service, but we also helped them with the acquisition component from a technology stack and bringing them into the system and best practice and setting it up. So it's cool that we kind of get to grow and thrive with the clients on these big moves.
Yes. And like you said, a company with 300 employees has a vastly different dynamic than that with 900 or so. So high
Yes.
growth mode. Um, what are some of the other, situations that a customer finds themselves in that, makes them want to call Sability or need to call Sability in a lot of cases?
Um, Sometimes it could be as rudimentary as we don't have the time to get to certain projects that, we need to do. And it could be interfaces, just different things that come with normal HR activity and benefit turnover. I would say a lot of times it's specialized projects. Maybe it's two companies merging, one's on UKG, one's not. Or a very recent one where both are using pro and workforce management. Two different instances, one's on much longer than the other.
Mhm.
So we help bring them together and make the decision on, is the new environment best, is adopting one, but either way, we help do the discovery and the strategy to help define what are the business outcomes. Got to start there. What do you, when you say you want to unify into a technology environment, we have to lift above it. How are you unifying your employees, your pay policies, your compensation modeling, all of it? Once we really figure that out and get the vision of leaders, what's cool is that we can bring our system SMEs along for the ride, because as they're getting this download, they're able to make the technology recommendations about, if you're deciding to go this way, good, we can fit it in the system, or we need to consider this. So we're the partner to help extract the vision and kind of guide them through it, and then tell them, these are the homework items, these are the big decisions, and this is the impact. These are the dollar differences too, depending on which direction you go.
Yeah. Sometimes
So,
that really practical, that's a great vision, but do you have the budget and the time and the resources to make that happen? Sometimes,
right.
you need those doses of reality. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we see in your reviews that those reality checks happening, and also the challenge that I think Stability brings to the table about, have you thought about this?
Yes. And we understand most of these projects all have a timeline. We're either backing in from a date we want to go live and we're assessing, oh, how much prep time, because you always need prep time, or what we would call like phase zero implementation readiness, before all of a sudden you're in the midst of a project plan that's taking off. So sometimes we get the luxury of moving it forward. A client will sign on without a hard target date because they know they want to take maybe even a few months to allow going from autonomous and multi-state, multi-union, and having to do the due diligence to compare to
Yeah.
not lift and shift systems. So
Yeah.
it's a variety.
Yeah. And knowing that readiness, and being able to sort of score it to say, hey, maybe I need to take a step back here and rethink my time frame.
I think what can be eye-opening too, especially as you get into the large enterprise accounts, is how many hours are we bringing to the table, not just on top of our day jobs, but areas of expertise across finance, across IT, ones that are not just ongoing users. It's one of the differences too, we get asked, well, what if we get implemented by the vendor direct versus if Stability is doing it? We're always like that extra layer of downstream systems that
Mhm.
kind of interact as well. So as we're helping, say, build out change management and adoption, we're going beyond just kind of the logging in and out of the system and into, the overall feel for what's going on at the company. What do we need mindful of? What other changes are happening to and for the employees?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, really important perspective to and context to have.
Mhm.
As you think about the landscape of HR tech and where things are evolving with generative AI and some of the new and hot areas of the tech itself, how is Sability helping customers stay ahead of this challenging landscape? And what do you see in the future?
I think the two that come to mind when I think kind of leadership, back office, and admin, it always comes down to data, reporting, forecasting, like making the use of the tools. For those that we meet that are just going through an implementation, they're so focused on getting live and parallel testing and all the things that drive them there. You don't typically roll out of there like a full expert of the reporting tools and that. So I think data is something that you keep growing into across both HCM and WFM, taking advantage of AI features, all of that. The other piece from an employee impact perspective, I think, is around features like employee voice and UKG talk, where it's allowing them to bring together the employees into sense of community, employer groups. Like I remember as, a legacy OTP, if you will, all the focus on the wonderful groups we had within the company, but now it is at the fingertips of your mobile. And it was kind of designed for our own company, the software company, before it got expanded. Same thing when they were rolling out the ability to donate to philanthropy through payroll. Those kind of feature functionalities started within UKG before they ever went client facing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love that. And, back to your comment about the data. So much of the time, the technology is so dependent on the quality of the data and the collection of the data. Data isn't really sexy, like generative AI is and things like that. On the other hand, it's what powers all of these new, innovations with Gen AI and employee voice and things like that. You can't underestimate the data that underlies some of these important technologies.
Right. And it's as much as you need, in the moment forecasting and people data, it's like try finding an organization or a business who is able to go buy, sell, invest, grow without having a good grip on their people and labor data that's coming out of a system like UKG. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. So my final question, what advice would you give to a customer that's about ready to do an implementation of UKG? What are some of the things that are or the thing that they should really be thinking about?
If you can afford a timeline, and I get you can't always, because sometimes there's pressing business reasons on go live dates and such. Getting ahead of it and spending a little time, whether it's a couple weeks, couple months, what have you, to get your arms around, what did we buy? Who's the team that's going to rally about it? Kind of again, top down. Do we have a project management office or don't we? Or what does that structure look like? And do we have a change management, philosophy or experience? And is that going to carry into this project? Because what I'll say is implementations quickly get to pulling data and interfaces and all of these things. You don't want to wait till the end to say, oh, geez, what are the FAQs we need for our employees? And how are we going to measure adoption and that this was successful after? What is kind of the hypercare after go live? And like, what are the goals of the system? So I guess long-winded answer, but to say don't think about the start, kind of think about that ongoing journey.
Yeah.
What is the outcome of this system going to be? Because you're not moving to just get an accurate paycheck like, oh, maybe you are if you're struggling in another system, but it's usually more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Start with the results and work backward from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for all of your insights today and introducing us to really the company behind all of these great reviews. And if you want to find out more about Sability, make sure to check out their reviews out on Raven Intel, hear what their customers are saying. That really underpins all of the care that Kathy talked about today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.